Do you want to
Carry
read it?
on.
I thought we were gonna come here to like bottles of maple syrup.
I brought nothing back.
Or at least
You brought her
It
back.
took me
Fall
2 days
leaves
to
or
get
something.
home.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I just slept in Newark last night.
Madam Mayor, it is 6:06 and we are live.
Good evening, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 20th, 2024 regular city commission meeting. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
present.
Commissioner Mimi May,
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Thank you very much. The invocation of Mona Sands will be read by Mimi May, and I'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, so good evening, everyone. As we gather tonight to conduct the important work of our city, let us take a moment to reflect on the responsibilities we carry and the impact of our decisions. In this spirit, let us begin our meeting with a renewed sense of dedication and a deep respect for the trust placed in us by those that we serve. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, do we have additions, deletions, or reordering?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Commissioner May, do you want me to announce it or would you like to?
Oh, it doesn't matter either way.
All right,
I just,
so-
well, I
go
can
ahead.
announce it. I just wanted to request that we pull the proclamation for Women's Equity Day from the consent agenda to be read aloud.
Okay. Anything
And
else?
then I have two deletions.
Okay, what are you deleting?
Unfinished business A, which I've actually deleted from the agenda, but it was there up until today. Unfinished business A, the lease with Lutheran Services has been deleted. It will be on the utility meeting next Tuesday. And new business A, Madison Terrace Phase 1 has been deleted as well.
Okay, so as my agenda that you gave me is the correct agenda?
Well, it has Madison Terrace on it because that was pulled after I'd already.
Right, no, but it's been crossed out, so I see
Yes.
that. Okay, thank you. All right.
Motion to
I need
approve and
motion.
amend it.
Well, excuse me, Madam
She
Clerk?
needs a motion, I was just doing.
Well, I got it.
I know, but I was making the motion and she was asking
you.
for it, that's what happened.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, presentations. Healthier Lake Worth Beach Neighborhood Health Impact Work in partnership with Code Compliance Division presentation by Carmela Marcelin Champagne, and who's the project manager of Healthier Lake Worth Beach. And she brought some other wonderful people with her tonight. She's not alone. Could you introduce yourselves, all of you?
You gotta push the button, sweetie, it's not lit, there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Carmel Marcelin Chapman. I am the project director for Healthier Lakewood Beach. And today with me are the leaders of Healthier Lakewood Beach, the two co-chairs, Patrick Livingston and Joe Lowe.
I'm sorry, could you speak more into the mic so we can all hear you?
Joe
Thank you.
became the one of the co-chairs sometimes at the beginning of this year, and he's been doing a tremendous job. So we are here today to talk about the impact work that Healthier Lakewood Beach residents have been having in partnership with the city's code compliance division. Around 2021, in order to boost up and sustain the neighborhood health work that the Healthier Lakewood Beach residents have been doing in the community, we entered a partnership with the city's code compliance division to support in the development of and implementation of new approaches that address problem properties and code compliance challenges. So those approaches, they were supposed to facilitate positive social outcomes such as fewer problem properties and also fewer at-risk properties, higher code compliance rates, safer, healthier, higher quality and living conditions for residents, and also greater sense of belonging, ownership, and improvement to the neighborhoods. And together we develop a guideline that includes violations, compliance issues, who's eligible, referrals, process, partners needed in order to help out with all the issues that are, referred by Code Compliance Division. So with that said, we have compiled a little short video for you so you guys can see, how the partnership has strengthened between Code and the residents of Lakewood Beach, and also how they are feeling, how the opinions have changed. And this is just the beginning of the work, and the benefits and advantages that everybody is gaining from it. So Melissa, you may start the video now. Thank you.
Okay, I will. Let me just share my
Is it just for
screen.
homesteaded properties, Camilla? Is it just for homesteaded properties?
Only homes that are in the 33460 or 4 districts.
But are they homes, they have to be owner occupied?
Owner occupied, and they have no renters.
Right.
It has to be owner occupied.
Thank you.
I was interested in assisting the community in a far greater capacity, and so were they. And we started brainstorming ways in which we could better assist the community.
The code enforcement officer, she was very helpful. She, contacted me and let me know when they were going to post a notice on my door so that I didn't just come home to find a notice on the door. It was the individual that connected me to you guys, because when she initially gave me the notice, I had no idea that this was even available. So definitely, I feel like I built a relationship with her and with you.
They weren't really being helpful. I was very concerned if I could take care of what it is they were asking me to take care of. They looked at my house and she had a list of everything that needed to be fixed. She's told me what they could do for me. I never knew that was available.
Healthier Lake Worth Beach is a program that is helping out the people who are actually in need. It kind of gives you a comfort knowing that there's good people out there still. It helped out my family tremendously in a way that I'll never be able to repay it back. And Healthier Lake Worth Beach helped provide us with the means of improving our way of life.
I didn't know what to do. It was terrible. I was afraid I would have to leave my house. So grateful that Healthier Lake Worth Beach worked on my house and did a wonderful job.
After the surgery, he didn't have seizures, but he was incapacitated in a lot of ways. It was a very hard time for both of us. It probably was the beginning of thinking about Lake Worth as a community for me.
I'm on disability and disabled, and I've had Healthier Lake Worth Beach program come and take care of my yard. Everything was bad. It was going bad. But ever since then, everything's been up and up.
Healthier Lake Worth is definitely a great organization to help in helping residents, to beautify their homes and to do things that are necessary without having to have all of the funds that it takes to do that.
The residents are extremely beneficial of the help that Healthier Lake Worth Beach provides, especially financially. And then they have a team of volunteers who come in and assist with bringing the properties into compliance. So absolutely, not just the city staff, but the residents as well are appreciative of everything they do to assist us.
It would be very nice if the city of Lake Worth themselves would be able to do something to help towards the process as well, and not just, your organization, because it costs an extreme amount of money to be able to keep up with these things. And the city could probably, put forth a little bit of funding aside to be able to help with that.
If it's return that you're seeking, it's not the return that you are expecting to get, because your investment isn't going to make you dollars, but your investment is going to cause people to live happier and more freely. And, your funds aren't being wasted I would feel a lot better about myself knowing that my money is being well spent.
I realize every district is in need because everyone is going through difficulties, financial difficulties, and suffering in some capacity.
I think it's a wonderful program. I support it 100%. I just wish more people knew about it. And it'd be nice if it was included in everybody's utility bill. So people, when they get their bill and they've been cited, can look at that and say, oh, maybe I can get some help.
Thank you. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, to thank you to the Code Compliance Division, especially Yolanda. When we approached her, and she actually instantly recognized the need, for us to work together. And then she invited me to her meetings. I presented to the other officers, and they have been doing a tremendous job at supporting, with this whole program. Though they're not the only one who refer to us. A lot of other residents refer residents to us, neighbors referring neighbors to us. So it's not just the city's Code Compliance Division. It's everyone who's working together to sustain the beauty of Lakewood Beach.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for coming and talking to us about it. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. McVoy apparently, Mr. McVoy has a question?
I have two statements, not questions. Sorry. I have two statements. First, that Charmel is being way too modest. She received on Saturday, along with a number of others, some others from Lake Worth, was part of the President's Lifetime Achievement Award, and she won one of those awards for her work.
Bravo.
And that's pretty cool. And Father Frank, well, we call him Father Frank O'Laughlin, who founded the Guatemala Maya Center, was another recipient. So thank you for that. The other comment was, I guess we're being careful about identifying recipients, but one of the recipients I recognized right away was a Lake Worth High School student. Her mother was an art teacher here, and she was a well-known swimmer in her time. Very nice lady. So thank you for helping her out.
Thank you very much. It's, efforts like this that make a community. Ms. Malega? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, also congrats on, that's legendary. It's a big deal, so quite the award. I had a question about, because the work is incredible. It's so critically important. I know we've talked about that a lot up here about compassionate, compliant-driven code enforcement and all that, but I'm really curious, like, it's no small feat. I see you replace like soffits and replacing fences. So when you need things like lumber and the fence paneling, like, where does that come from? How do you fund it? How can somebody contribute to that? How do you determine that, is it case by case? Like when you get a house, they need a fence, okay, let's call around and see who can get us a fence. How does that work?
Well, it is case by case, and the funding, we received some of the funding through Palm Health, right?
Palm Health Foundation.
And the others, we have partners that we work with. Some of them are in the construction business, electrical, AC, things like that. That's who we use. Painting, Paint Your Heart Out, Solid Waste Authority, they help us on a few projects. So it is a case-by-case basis, but we have partners who come in, and you can always donate to our cause here.
And also, without the funding of Palm Health Foundation, when we started Healthier Lakewood Beach, it's one of the 6 Healthier Together communities across Palm Beach County. They are all funded by Palm Health Foundation. Oh, okay. So Palm Health was committed to giving $200,000 for 5 years to Lakewood Beach. So Palm Health is giving over $1 million into the community. So we are now in our 8th year. But because the Lakewood Beach community has proven to Palm Health Foundation that they are so committed to getting the work done, residents working together city leaders, recognizing residents and building partnership with residents. So we have done a lot of work together, and because of that, we were still able to get money from Palm Health. We're not getting the $200,000 anymore, because that ended about a year and a half ago, but we are still getting money from Palm Health Foundation. But without our partners, we wouldn't have been able to continue doing that many homes because it is expensive. We're not doing it without any challenges. We do have challenges because the partners who are supporting us, we're just like in a low pay, we are the low paying clients. So they put their regular clients first.
Sure.
And then, when they have the time for us, they do it, but they do it at a lower pay. One example is that we have a handyman who works with us. What he's charging us is like, 50% less than what he charges his other clients. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And we also have Garaba Roofing. They will actually sell us the materials and then they will install them for free.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So those are the kind of partnership. If we didn't have those partnerships, we would not have been able to do as many.
Yeah, it takes.
Frankie, American Roofing, he's been in this community for a long time.
That's great.
Yeah, it takes a whole community. I think those businesses really need to be recognized. And my other question is, do we as a city, when you go after grants, and it's less of a question, more of a statement. When you go for future grants, like, can we submit a letter of support? Anything that can help your grant applications, I think the city should be willing to, quite frankly, step up and help with that process. So if we haven't in the past already, I think it's something we should get in the habit of doing.
Thank you, and we'll keep that in mind. Yeah.
That would be helpful.
It's just District 1? What area do you cover in the city?
All 4 districts.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we receive less referrals from District 1 than all the other districts.
Really?
We have,
Okay.
we have so many referrals for the north and then central. And then, maybe out of the 22 referrals, so far we've received referrals for 60 referrals or over 70 referrals from Code.
Yeah.
But we must have handled at least 60 of them from 2021 to now.
Wow.
And maybe just a few, 2, 3 homes or 4 homes in District 1. But most of the referrals are from the other districts.
That's wonderful.
Just like Yolanda said, everybody needs it.
Everybody needs it.
Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody is facing, and most of them are senior citizens.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Ms. Malega?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Carmel, to Patrick, and to Joe. This project has come a long way, this entity. And this is when we talk about having funds available and not just setting them aside, but really getting with the partners who are making the difference. And Healthier Lake Worth Beach is definitely one of those partners. And thank you for all your hard work. You guys deserve everything, especially Carmel and Patrick and Joe. You guys are in the community. You're doing the work.
Really?
And you really are. You're taking the phone calls. You're the ones who are taking time out of your day. You're not paid to do this. This is volunteer. And I'm appreciative of all your hard work and continuing the Healthier Lake Worth Beach vision that the residents set. This is all resident led. So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Ms. May?
All right, I'm going to say ditto to what she said for brevity. But I do have 2 questions. One, if somebody listening wanted to help and volunteer, how would they do that?
Well, there's 2 ways they can actually do it.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Sure. There's 2 ways they can actually do that. They can contact us through Healthier Lake Worth, or they can contact us through Arms of Hope Community on Wingfield Street. So either way, their information will be, served.
Okay, excellent. And the second question is, I remember when, I think it was before COVID, where there were neighborhood cleanups. And you guys, wasn't it you guys who had all the supplies and all of that stuff? Do you still have that if we wanted to bring it up again? Because I'm sure Ramsey would love to organize it again.
Because she is such an amazing organizer.
Did you catch that ball? Did you catch the ball?
She caught the ball.
No, it was a Josh Allen throw right to you. No, but
I think that the residents have done a really great job at taking the initiatives further. When we started the cleanup, we started with 2 2 neighborhoods, and now it grew to like 11 neighborhoods. And everybody now is taking, the leadership on their own, cleaning up, preparing their flyers and everything, and all Healthier Lakewood Beach has to do is giving the equipment. And now they actually come to Arms of Hope to pick up the equipment. We have all the supplies.
Yeah.
We even
Okay.
provide water and breakfast and things like that.
So it's still going
Still the
on?
same, yeah.
Okay, so if neighborhoods wanted to do it, they could just contact you and,
Yes,
okay,
that is part of our neighborhood health.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Just to follow up on what Ms. May said, it just brings up to mind our website. This is, again, another place where I want our website to become like where people go to look for information. And this would be the same kind of thing that we could have on the website. Do you need help with your house? Here's a possible solution. So I keep talking about that website.
We need a partners page on the website, like it
Yes,
says.
yeah. We need a lot more on the website. I want it to be the place where people come and look for stuff and think they're going to find information about whatever it happens to be. It's the only place that we can guide people to. Everybody's got a phone. Thank you so much, and
Thank you for
keep up the
having
good
us.
work. Yeah, really, that's exciting. Okay. Public participation of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards? We have. Oh, the proclamation. Okay. Okay. Now we have a proclamation which was brought forth by Mimi May, Commissioner May, which I'm proud to read. Whereas, in 1848, 5 trailblazing women organized the Seneca Falls Convention and created the Declaration of Sentiments, a platform that called on women to fight for their constitutionally guaranteed right to equality as U.S. citizens. And whereas, at the 1851 Women's Rights Convention, Sojourner Truth delivered one of the most famous women's rights speeches, "Ain't I a Woman?" calling for black women to be included in the women's suffrages. And in 1865, Truth worked about the Freedom's Village in Arlington Heights. And whereas, in 1920, Gertrude Crocker, a noted suffragist and treasurer for the National Women's Party, and one of the 12 women who participated in the first ever picket protest outside the White House, moved to Arlington and became active in civil affairs. And whereas, the fight for women's suffrage has lasted more than 72 years, and I don't think it's over, with women from all, a little editorial, with women from all walks of life demanding the right to voice their opinions at the polls, yet the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920 ensured that primarily white women could vote. It would be another 45 years before women of color had the legal protections to vote through the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And whereas in 2020, the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, women of all backgrounds were not only voting, but they were also running for and winning elected office, and in unprecedented numbers, including the highest office in the country. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim August 26, 2024 as Women's Equality Day in the City of Lake Worth Beach, and encourage residents to follow in the footsteps of these great suffragists, female leaders, and civil rights leaders, and to continue to be sentinels for democracy and justice. And I have here to set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach to be affixed this 20th day of August, 2024. And I remember when you couldn't get a credit card or buy anything on credit. I mean, I remember that. People, couldn't, some man had to sign for it. So, some man. You had to find yourself a man to do it.
Just a random one,
So,
huh?
here, come, sign this for me. So, I mean, we talk about it, we started 1848, and we really still do have some, 1960 something was when everything changed. So, thank you very much. Now we have public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda. Ms. Peggy Fisher, followed by Ms. Ramsey McLeod. I wonder, I'm scared now.
No, well, Peggy Fisher, North A Street, Lake Worth Beach. I don't know how many of you saw a post on Nextdoor about the bathrooms at Bryant Park. Very, very upsetting. That's our prime park, and the pictures of those bathrooms were atrocious. As a resident, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that we don't have proper bathrooms. But we have an issue here at City Hall, and that's the elevator. The elevator has been out of operation for weeks, a month,
About 3 weeks. Maybe
longer than
4
3 weeks. And if it can't be repaired, if parts are so scarce, then the city should be looking into putting a newer model elevator in this building. Because I know that one's at least 16 years old. Final statement is, at your last meeting, you all donated $25,000 to the Playhouse for a marquee, and $50,000 to the library. All good things. I challenge you to donate $75,000 to Healthier Lake Worth and all the work they just talked to you and showed you, because that's our residents. And that's more important to me than a marquee. And I'm an avid reader, and I absolutely feel supporting the library is important. It's important for children to read. But we have to make sure our residents are safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, the pictures that she's referring to, that Ms. Peggy Fisher's referring to?
Yeah.
I sent those to Director McKay
And I think one of the
instantly.
problems is that the people, I mean, there's a dilemma we have of, do we lock them up? Because people, I mean, how many times has the water fountain been torn off the wall?
We are consistently repairing, replacing, because it is a constant issue where we'll go and we'll remove the graffiti, we'll replace the things that people kick off the walls. They cram things down in the toilets to intentionally clog them.
Park
It's just a consistent thing. So it's not that we're not addressing them. It's just that you can only.
Park rangers.
We've discussed this, and it's a problem. It's an ongoing problem, because you want them available, but that's the problem. So, Ms. McLeod.
Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. At the July 16th Commission meeting, the Pinnacle Development Project was presented to you, seeking support for the CRA to commit $75,000 for Pinnacle's application for low-income housing tax credits. I am truly baffled by yours and two realtors' requests for commercial aspect to be added. There were no such comments or demands made when the Lake Station development on North G Street and 10th Avenue North was presented, nor when the apartment complex slated to be built kitty corner from them just west of the railroad tracks. Not a peep was heard from anyone in regard when the Madison Terrace development was proposed for on South Dixie Highway either. So why is there suddenly, quote unquote, a need for commercial entities on 6th Avenue South, but not elsewhere? If you compare both major entrances to our city, you will find them almost identical in layout and nature. On 10th Avenue North, you have a Walgreens and a 7-Eleven on the western corners of Dixie Highway, with Tuppence and an insurance office on the eastern side. There is a convenience store on the northern side of 10th Avenue North near the railroad tracks, and then housing until you get to North B Street, where there is a law office, and then I-95 overpass. On 6th Avenue South, there is a Walgreens and a Dunkin' Donuts on the western corners of Dixie Highway, with a Checkers and a Chevron gas station on the eastern side. There is a convenience store located at South F Street, but nothing but housing until you reach Harold Grimes Memorial Park at I-95. If you compare 6th Avenue South to 10th Avenue North, I'm willing to bet an income check that the traffic flow on 10th Avenue North is much greater than that of 6th Avenue South. Just get stopped at the railroad tracks for a freight train, and you will see that on 10th Avenue North, they will be backed up to North C or North B streets. But on 6th Avenue South, I rarely see traffic backed up to South D Street. This claim of meeting more businesses on South Dixie Highway is ridiculous. We have no empty storefronts like you have downtown. In fact, we have a greater variety of businesses between 6th Avenue South and the southern end of our city than you will find anywhere else along Dixie Highway. What more do you need in that area, and where would you put it? Not a peep was heard from anyone east of Federal Highway about the need for a commercial business aspect to the townhouses that were built at 9th Avenue South, even though Common Grounds is the only business in the area, while the rest of that stretch is filled with hotels and some residential. When the city sold off multiple properties west of Dixie Highway in the late 2000s for back taxes, it became ripe for slumlords, and homeowners in the area have seen a continual deterioration in general because of the lack of upkeep by these individuals. Since code enforcement no longer inspects the interiors of structures when they come up for a rental license renewal, the tenants, mostly migrants, are at the mercy of these slumlords who only continue to raise rents while they live in inhumane conditions. So what is the bias against real low-income housing for our financially struggling residents and our city employees?
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have any comments?
There was one comment, it's posted online. I only read comments for public
For
hearing.
agenda items, okay, thank you. Okay, we need approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Easy for you to say.
Not really.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearings, ordinance 24-8. Second reading. Madam Attorney, please read.
Good evening. This is ordinance number 2024-08. An ordinance of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 23 Land Development Regulations, Article 4 Development Standards, Section 23.4-10 Off-Street Parking, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, new business.
I think we
All
have
in
to
favor?
vote on it.
Oh,
I'm sorry, before you vote, I do
I know
have a
in
comment
Vermont
on
they
this.
don't do that, but
Vermont has, well, I'll tell you, we'll talk about Vermont.
Where do you have to be?
It took me 2 days to get home. I just got off the plane. All in favor?
No,
Aye.
Matt, before you vote, I have a public comment on this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sam Smith, 109 North Palmway. We have a huge development parking issue that needs to be globally addressed by the city. Too many projects are going up in this city that do not have sufficient on-site parking. This is negatively impacting neighborhoods and neighbors. Just look at the mid and try to drive the side streets near that project. You will find that it is utter chaos and no one in the city seems to care about the residents who lived in this city and have paying taxes for decades. The city only cares about developer dollars and just lets them do whatever they want. A good example of this lack of concern or care by the city is along South Ocean Breeze, where several fourplexes are being built or are in the planning approval stage. These smaller projects are approved by staff without sufficient parking, and in fact, the projects are permitted to count part of the public street to satisfy parking requirements, and there is no actual on-street parking available to count. All of this needs to change and change soon. Our public streets are already overloaded with parked cars, people's driveways are routinely blocked, etc. It is not safe to drive on many of these overloaded streets. Line of sight is blocked, etc. Rather than dealing with this issue on the planning side, the city is reactive and is now ticketing cars. Madam Mayor, that's the only comment I've received for tonight.
Thank you very much. So, we are now.
Now we need the vote.
Now we need the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
And I'm
Okay.
sorry, who made the motion and the second for that? I believe it was Vice Mayor made the motion?
Myself and Mr. McBoy.
There you go.
He made it,
He
she
made the
seconded
motion,
it.
she seconded it.
Okay, I'm behind the eight ball tonight. Thank you.
I think it's good, it's a short agenda. Okay, now, new business. That's where we're at. General contractors agreements with Luminel General Contracting LLC, My Construct Service LLC, and Sustainable Design and Construction Services for miscellaneous maintenance repairs. Staff?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so we have plenty of trades work, and while we have excellent facility staff, there are projects that are too large because we have a minimal amount of staff. So these are when we need to outsource some of that work because we just can't have half of our staff working on one project for weeks at a time. So this is what we put out for projects $100,000 and less, and we had 8 different bids that came in. We selected 3, and this is what that item is for.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, are there any public comments? No, that was, she said that was the only one she got that right? Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. It passes unanimously. Next up is ordinance 2024, first reading, amending the oath of the candidate form. Madam Attorney?
Thank you. Ordinance 2024-12, an ordinance of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 2 Elections, Section 2-15 Oaths Required of Candidate, to clarify the requirements to qualify for election and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank
Motion
you.
to approve?
Do I have a second? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second, but I
you
just
want-
had
you want-
something to say.
Sure, go ahead.
I know that Melissa's listening. My concern with this document is that anybody can just sign and say, yep, I lived here for 6 months. And even though I'm making the motion to approve and I will vote to approve this, I think that as a whole, as a body, we need to have a discussion on this item because the city clerk does not feel it's in their purview
Right.
for someone to prove that they live here. And that's not democratic. That's not democracy. Anybody can walk into City Hall, show a driver's license, or even not a driver's license with the right address, and say, yep, I live here. We need to have some kind of validation process. And I would like us to possibly talk about that in the near future before we have another election coming up. And I just think that it's smart for us to be proactive in this regard.
Maybe at a pre-agenda workshop.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring it up because
Yeah, no,
this is
it's
in
a good
front of
idea,
us.
yeah.
So if we can talk this through as a board, especially like I said before, an election comes up. Because then you know what happened, then we don't have a year of an election and nobody will talk about it and then we
Right.
come back up to this. So
Okay.
I do make a motion to approve, but I'd like us to have a conversation on the proving validity to the fact that people live here.
Much appreciated.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, Commissioner Diaz made the motion and Vice Mayor seconded it.
Yes, and Mr. Diaz now wants to speak.
Well, I guess we'll have the conversation at another time, but I thought, there's a usual process here where if somebody, we sign the oath, and if somebody wants to challenge it in court, that's usually how it happens. I don't know if there's clarification from our attorney, but, it's generally the burden is on a candidate or anybody who has standing to bring that challenge in court, right?
Other cities don't do it that way, and I just think that it's something we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would see the burden on the person alleging, stating that they are, if we're going to do something like that.
Okay.
Well, it's real simple. If you live here, you should have a utility bill, or you should have an ID with your Lake Worth Beach residence on it. It's that simple. If you live here, it's those two options.
That's a couple ways to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
some
There might
people
be
live
other
with, right,
ways.
yeah.
Yeah, there might be
but
other
if
ways
you
to
can
do
live
it.
with somebody
Copy
you
of a
name-
lease, something.
something.
Yeah, but that's why I
A
wanted to
little
bring it up
something.
for later.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you very much. All right, moving right along to our new agenda stuff is commission liaison reports and comments. Yeah. Let's start with 4 tonight. Let's go backwards.
I don't have a whole lot. I mean, I really liked our meeting yesterday for the mobility plan. It's really it feels like turning over a new leaf on getting some good habits down. And I think one of the good habits is continually having these conversations, these studies, these things like mobility plans that kind of make sure we're making, good decisions even when we're not up here. So I really appreciate that meeting. I also, really the only thing I kind of had this week is I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to some of our staff. We had applied to the Lake Worth Lagoon Initiative funding request program, and I generally lobby to all the municipalities that they need to be applying to this program. Maybe luckily for us, nobody else took us up on that offer, but we did, and the county did. Jamie, Vaughn, staff put together a really cool concept application program, and I know that the county, so basically the way that the funding program works is we apply, they select the top projects that they like, and then using their lobbyists, their people, they go to Tallahassee and get funding for it. And the county seems to be really excited with what staff presented to them. And it's great because not only is it hopefully going to get us some funding, but also it kind of gets the conversation going of having just like building a really good relationship with our county environmental resources management. So kudos to them. They pulled it together relatively quickly, and there's more to come, I'm sure.
We've got a great staff. Thank you. District 3.
Okay, I'm going to do a little kudos to poor Jamie and Troy. I've been on them about illegal dumping, and I thank you because they heard me, and I was driving up, and really honestly, right now my main thing is our main thoroughfares. Federal 10th, 6th, where people are coming in, and I don't want that first thing they see is a bunch of mattresses. And I know that that's an issue here that we will get to the bottom of, and I have faith in the staff and the direction that the commission's going, that is important. I did go to the Florida League of Cities annual conference, and that was, it was fun. B, it was very cool to meet a lot of electeds from all over the state and kind of ask questions and listen to what they do in other cities. And there were some really great presentations and workshops. So I got to learn a few new skills. I haven't learned tact yet, but it's getting better.
She's working
I'm working on it. Inside
No,
thought.
she really
Inside
is.
thought. No, but it was a good conference, and I want to thank Vice Mayor Maliga because the first time you do something, you don't really know where you're going, and she was great. She was oh, well, maybe you should go here, you go here, I'll go here, we'll compare notes, and it was a great learning experience, and definitely worth it to bring back information to become a better leader. So I'm grateful I got to go. Thank you.
Thank you. So you really get to start to see the bigger picture. Yeah. District 2.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. As I mentioned during the presentation, that two people involved with Lake Worth, Carmel, who was just here with Healthier Lake Worth, and Father Frank with the Guatemala Maya Center, or founder of the Guatemala Maya Center and director, both received Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards, and that's pretty cool that Lake Worth was on that. We also, the mayor might have been noticed that I'm watching my phone, which I do not normally do during. Yes, I did. The reason for that is that the Guatemala Maya Center has helped out a lot with a person not from Lake Worth, but who has been a volunteer in Lake Worth. Recently graduated, she's the first in her family to go to college. She received a full scholarship from Notre Dame University, and she is about to fly out, I believe. They got through TSA, and so it's quite the adventure, and we're helping out a little bit with that. And it's pretty exciting that somebody has really done well and made it off. That Saturday was a busy day helping with that, attending the presidential award thing, and in the afternoon, I know that it's not a Lake Worth issue, but it does affect South Florida very much, and one that perhaps it's a good idea to pay attention to. People may be aware that on the 28th of July, there were national presidential elections in Venezuela. The predictions going in was that the opposition candidate to Nicolas Maduro would probably get something like 60 or 70% of the vote. The information from, they called them the actas, they're the same strips of paper that we have when we vote in the precincts here. They summarize what the machines say. The opposition was able to collect about 80% of those from precincts. They were quite organized about it as the polls closed. And that also showed about 30% going to Maduro, 70% to Maria Corina, to Edmundo Gonzalez. And the involvement worldwide watching that election of Venezuelans. Remember that 8 million out of about 30 Venezuelans have left Venezuela because of conditions in the country. People all over the world were watching. At midnight, Nicolas Maduro came out and said, well, I won, I got 52% of the vote. Clearly, but has still not presented any receipts to back up that statement. The United States has not recognized him as winning. The European Union has not. And so worldwide, the opposition organized rallies all over the place. We helped organize one in West Palm. There were ones, huge one in Miami, Italy, Spain, all sorts of countries, Australia. So people are watching. Democracy it's a big deal. Their voting process was actually, I think, looks like it was pretty good. It's just that the government wasn't willing to recognize the results. That's a problem. It happens. So we're people who have any connection or family still in Venezuela or have, are now here, are watching that with a lot of emotion and attention. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay, so I'm going to start with PBSO. I want to give my sincere thanks and appreciation to PBSO officers who followed up on a 911 hang-up call and assisted somebody who, thank God they did, because they were in the middle of a sexual assault.
Yeah.
So everybody says we spend so much money on PBSO. I can't put a price on keeping our residents, our business owners, our kids safe. So thank you to PBSO. Thank you to the 911 dispatcher who followed through and got someone to the site. We have one of our very own here on Lake Worth Beach. The owner of Una Bakery is going through some medical stuff. Yeah. And this Saturday, there's going to be a second fundraiser of sort from 1 p.m. until they run out of food. The last one, I wasn't unable to attend because I was at the FLC. It was so successful that they ran out of food very quickly. But her surgery has been postponed, I think by a week or 10 days, I was told today. But I wanted to make sure that I mention this. If you can, come to Una Bakery from 1 o'clock on. It's a friend fundraiser to help the owner who's going through some medical issues. We all pitch in. We're all a small community, right? Home dedication, if you have nothing going on August 30th at 9 a.m., there's a home dedication at 306 North C Street. Come out and help us cut the ribbon and dedicate a home to a new homeowner. And yes, the FLC conference, the annual conference, is a lot of work. I was there from Wednesday till Saturday night, actually Sunday morning. And the knowledge that you gain, the insight that you get, the relationships that you make with other electeds, and you get to know what they're doing in other cities. And I'm very proud that we don't approve big projects like quick service restaurants without having conversations on traffic and impacts. And I'm very proud that I think that we hold developers to a higher standard, especially when I hear what other cities are doing. And that's not just in Palm Beach County, it's all around the state. But we have some really big legislative hurdles that we need to cross soon. And even though we have a ton of workshops that are focusing on a lot of other stuff, we have to have some hard conversations as locals. And I had sent Elizabeth and Mr. Brown and Mr. Perry some ordinances that other cities have passed to get ahead of this homeless thing with the public. Went to a very informative conversation on how do you bring retail to your downtown and what does that look like? There are agencies out there that can help you to get on the who's list, and we talked about that today with Mr. Brown and Mr. Perry. So I'm excited for the future of Lake Worth Beach, I'm not gonna lie. And when you come home from these, and the mayor's been there, and when you come home from these annual conferences, you are exhausted and your brain feels like a marshmallow, but you're energized at the same time, if that makes sense. So look forward to us having some really deep, hard conversations and making some great decisions for the future of the city of Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you. It's always good to see the bigger picture. And sometimes you bring home COVID from the Florida League of Cities.
Twice, right? Twice.
Well, once when we were lobbying in Tallahassee and once for the Florida League of Cities. I've been gone for almost 2 weeks, and I used to live in Vermont, and I spent almost 2 weeks up in Vermont with a number of different people that I've known since the 70s. It was the old ladies gathering. But don't laugh. But I want to point out a couple of things. Now, Vermont, you look at Vermont, the calendars of Vermont, it's beautiful, and it is. But A friend of mine is a select person in a very tiny town of Guilford, Vermont, and as we were sitting in, as the equivalent of a commissioner, and as we were sitting and talking, it was like the same stuff was coming up. She was telling me things that I think it's like 1,500 people or 2,500 people. And I mean, I said, I could have put that in this room, and it's the same kind of thing that when you get a lot of people together, that's what happens. A couple other things. Brattleboro is one of the bigger cities, comparatively speaking, and Burlington has University of Vermont. And I have to tell you that when I drove into Brattleboro for the first time, the amount of homeless people, the empty storefronts, okay, we are not alone. This is a crisis that is going on all over the city and all over the country. And when you look at a place like Vermont, and it's really happening, and people are feeling, I don't feel safe going downtown.
Can you say that again? How does it go?
Vermont. That's just the way you say it. It's true. At Burlington, the same thing. It's University of Vermont, but there's a green of the university, and students used to hang out at it. They can't anymore because there's drugs and needles, and kids are they're walking their dogs and they're finding needles in the park. It's just like, I don't know what the answer is, but it's sure a problem. And along your lines, Mr. Diaz, I stayed at a camp that I have been there for years and years on Lake Champlain, and it's on a little bay of Lake Champlain, and algae and water not being right, and those kinds of issues, climate change, have really affected them as well. They had to close their waterfront a couple times, and again, it's Vermont. You don't think of that kind of thing.
Did you see Champy?
No, I didn't see Champ. I didn't see Champ. I was sad to miss the conference, but this is a group that we get together every other year, and I just had to go this time. It's been a long time. We're dropping out. So it just really brought home to me that as wonderful as a place like that is, you scratch the surface and all those problems are there. I don't want to say much. I really still want to find out the status of the concept, the abandonment of some, street ends, because I've got some people that are really suffering. They're really they're not getting the quiet enjoyment of their homes because of a few people that are just there all the time. And I'm not writing, that's not a pop quiz, but I would like to kind of follow up on that as well. And the other thing I want to follow up on is we had talked again about the shopping carts, and I had another thought about that because I would really like to pursue this. I would really like to have an ordinance which either you get bollocks that you can't get the carts passed, or you get pipes that they can't walk out the door with the thing, or if you're Publix, you get the things that stop, because there's really a lot in the neighborhoods, and it really looks horrible. To see. And I'm from Brooklyn, and you go to the store and you buy a little cart and you drag your own little cart and you fold it up and put it in the closet. When you go shopping again, you do it. And they're not expensive, right? They're not expensive. And I just don't think that having people sort of use grocery carts as their means of transportation of their goods all the time. So I really like to pursue, there's really three cheap options put in, but like the World Thrift has the bollocks, you can't take it out. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. I would like to see something actually happen.
Mr. Brown actually has good news, and I think so does Elizabeth on that.
Well, I'm glad.
We've been working on it.
Okay, glad to hear it. So that's kind of all I have right now. It took me 2 days to get home. It was a long trip. I could have driven. I slept in Newark last night. I just got off the plane at like 3:30 this afternoon. But it was a wonderful trip, and it was funny to be away, and here I am, back in reality. Mr. Brown.
Yes. Well, it's related to your shopping cart item you just mentioned. We are working on that right now. So that is something we have been working on, and we'll be bringing something forward soon.
Great.
Troy's been running with that as well, with Elizabeth. So
there he is.
He heard shopping carts and he ran it.
It seems like some simple solutions that we can just do.
Yep.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Mayor, Commissioner. Mayor, all those items that you named are already in our ordinance, and we're in the process of trying to re-educate.
You mean the shopping carts?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the ordinance says you can't take them, but there's nothing physically to prevent them from being taken.
There are items in there that should prevent them.
Well, then we've got to start enforcing it.
So what we're trying to do is go through and educate all the business owners that have shopping carts. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting scheduled. We're in the process of scheduling a meeting in a couple couple of weeks with all the business owners to have shopping carts.
Yeah.
So we can, go through the paperwork again, let them understand exactly what's required of them so that we are
But
working on it.
does the ordinance call for a physical barrier?
You
It
said-
just says, to keep the.
It talks about like a little mechanism that won't allow the shopping carts to come off the.
Right, I mean, and that's the more expensive
about the
one.
Flag, yeah, gives them about 3 or 4 different options that they can utilize and to try to prevent the shopping carts.
It seems like such a simple thing to enforce.
It does. I brought this up like 4 months ago.
No, I
So-
did, I mean,
Yeah, so
we've been
Mr.
talking
Perry's
about,
been
could you
working on it.
possibly send me or us that, just because it's, as we all know, the ordinance is a little bit of a labyrinth, the ordinance, the book, the code. So that would be helpful.
Yeah, but we're working on it.
Okay, great, thank you.
And
Appreciate
the
it.
other portion of that is obviously the citation portion of that, the actual fee.
Yeah, I mean,
for-
it's,
yeah,
let's,
so.
yeah, not many things that are so easy to fix, and that one's,
But just to be clear, our
Yeah.
citation process is for not complying with the ordinance of having that device to prevent.
right.
Yeah.
But if they do that, then we won't see them as mean, there's a whole parade sometimes down my street, so. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy. Also, as Commissioner Diaz had mentioned before, I was going to mention the Lake Worth Lagoon, the funding request as well.
Right.
Vaughn and I went last Thursday morning and presented, as you mentioned, one of the 2 projects selected to be part of their submission for during session. So hopefully we get that. That is 9th Avenue South, the outfall project, as well as I had added upgrading all of our trash receptacles downtown from A Street to Gulfview.
And maybe adding some more at the boat ramps and Bryant Park.
Correct. If we get this, we'll obviously have a large stock of what we currently have, which we'll be able to stockpile back in the yard, and we can kind of put those in select places. Redistribution, yes. So that was a good thing, and I wanted to publicly thank Vaughn for doing that. She did a great job.
And
So
thank you.
The 2 of us went and had some fun at the county
Yeah.
building last Thursday.
That's good.
Also, I wanted to mention the September 3rd regular scheduled commission meeting. Currently, we have nothing on the agenda because that is obviously the last month of the fiscal year. We have done a pretty good job of kind of knocking everything out before we get there. We don't like to wait till the last month to try to cram things in. So Melissa, the city clerk, did send out an email today to all directors, just making sure that there was no one who was kind of straggling that was going to add something today or tomorrow. Anything that would be time sensitive. We currently have nothing on consent, old business, new business.
There's nothing we could workshop?
Well, that was my question. Is this something that you guys would want to
Well, it's the day after
still
Labor
have
Day,
that
isn't it?
meeting? It is the day after Labor
Yeah.
Day, so it's the Tuesday after Labor Day.
And we have how many meetings scheduled in September?
11.
10, well, yeah, we had 11. This would be 10.
Good Lord, that was quick.
No, we still have 11.
We still have 10 meetings.
No, we have 11.
If this gets canceled?
Yes.
Well, then I think that if we're having that many meetings, my opinion just is if we're having that many meetings, just cancel it and let staff have a long weekend before we grind for 10, 11, whatever's left.
So I was looking to get consensus if that was something you guys wanted to cancel or
I hate canceling meetings, but I'll go along with the crowd.
I mean, we have
I'm a teeny
11.
kind of girl.
We have 11, 10, 11, whatever. Exhausting.
we did add
Sorry,
the,
could you speak into your mic, Commissioner?
Yeah,
Probably help if I turned it on, too.
yeah, that helps. It's just, there's so many things that we need to workshop and talk about, but sure, I'm not going to fight.
okay.
I'm not going to fight a night off.
So you heard that, Madam Clerk?
Oh, yes, I did.
I knew she was listening. And kind of,
Always listening. That's part of my job.
yes. But part of that, obviously, we've got the Community Sustainability Workshop coming up where we're going to be looking at all the different areas of that particular department. We've got the lobbyist, which we've got 2 dates selected, depending on how many come in. If we have, I believe Valentina said 4 or 5 or less, that first meeting would basically be a selection meeting where you guys would do your evaluation matrix. If we have way more than that, then we're going to have that first meeting be a short listing, and then the second meeting will be when they come in and give presentations and everything. So we've got 2 of those. We've got the housing study, which is going to be coming up, and the same meeting is also with short-term rentals. We've got our 2 regular commission meetings. We've got our 1 utility meeting that month. We also have our 2 budget hearings. Keep in mind, we also have the beach property coming up where we have those two separate meetings where we have the short list from the 5 submissions we got down to the 3 that are going to give presentations. So we have a lot coming up in the next month and a half. But the good thing is toward middle October and moving into the holidays, we have knocked out a lot of work. And this is all stuff that we've needed to do
For a long time.
for a long time. So it's going to be pretty steady moving here for the next month and a half or so. But I think we're going to roll into the holidays with a lot of really good work getting done. And we'll be ready to kick off.
If anyone's still talking to
If-
us
if-
after
if we're-
all that. What about the parking?
Oh, I didn't even mention,
September 3rd.
I didn't even mention WMOTA, and that was another thing I was going to throw out
WMOTA,
there.
yeah.
So, October 7th, there is a workshop that will be up at the casino building. And it will be a joint workshop with all of you and then also the CRA board. And that is to have the, I guess, the final presentation on the downtown possible museum. At that point in time, everything will be together as far as the funding and how everything's going to work. So they're going to present all of that final thing. The following night, on October 8th, my birthday, where else would I want to be? The CRA meeting. So the CRA is actually going to vote whether they would like to move forward based on what they heard at the workshop. A week from that night, on the 15th, is our regular commission meeting in which it will be brought forward to all of you to also vote. So that's why it's very important that we're doing that workshop on the 7th, because we want everyone to see and hear everything all at the same time, not the CRA to hear it before you, not you to hear it before the CRA. So again, it's, and we're having it at the casino because just the sheer amount of people. So, and that will be live streamed.
Right.
We have Darren on, so that'll be live streamed and everything as well. But again, it's important that everyone sees it at the same time. So you guys can all make a decision, but CRA will get it first the following night to make a decision on that. That's a big one. Other thing, November 5th meeting. There is no meeting on November 5th. That's the first Tuesday in November because it's election day and we never have a meeting on election
right.
day. If you guys would still like to have a meeting that first week of November, the only day we can do that is the previous evening, which is Monday. The 4th. So if you would like to have more than one meeting in November, it would need to be on November 4th. So you guys don't need to make the decision tonight unless you want to.
I have a
But-
question.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
You said one meeting, but we still have the utility meeting unless you guys are thinking about canceling that because it's Thanksgiving week?
Well, I was specifically talking about our two
No,
regular
no, I hear
commission
you.
meetings.
But are we still going to do the utility meeting, which is on the literally 2 days before Thanksgiving? And before we talk that through,
And Melissa and I talked about this earlier. Typically, whatever that meeting is the week of Thanksgiving, you guys normally cancel that.
that's what
So
I'm saying.
so that's another conversation to have. Do you guys want to have the utility meeting in November? Or we could look, and if you guys do not want to have it the week of Thanksgiving, we can look at any time-sensitive items or anything that would have gone on that meeting, adding that to, I think it's the 19th, whatever that third
That's the
Tuesday
19th,
is.
yeah.
19th.
Whatever the third Tuesday is in November, we can look at adding any utility items that need to be brought forward that month to that meeting, and then we could look at deleting that meeting.
Okay.
Or we could do the 12th and the 19th if we needed to do two.
12th is the CRA.
Correct.
You could do the 4th and the 19th.
4th is a Monday.
Right, but if we wanted to have two, those would be 2 dates.
So it really comes down to how many meetings do you guys want to have, and
47.
I can arrange that.
Some of us have
We
to
can
work
arrange
at
that.
night, so no.
But I mean, if we're canceling, I mean, I just think, I mean, it's election day, so we don't have a meeting, but I mean, the city's got business to conduct. I mean, so I would say that let's do it on the Monday, the 4th.
Can you make that work?
What?
I love you guys, all like family, but you forget that I have to, like, and you know, you're gonna get a little aggressive with me, but I usually work at night, that's when I make a living, and what I get paid here does not suffice my making a living. So if we can not change, and I build my schedule around Tuesdays and Thursdays, which now has added Mondays for September and October.
You can switch Tuesday for Monday with somebody,
It's election day,
right?
so I have to go around my client's schedule, but if that's what the part, if that's what everybody else chooses.
Why don't we think about it? Come back to it.
Yeah, come back to, again, it's
See
November.
what's coming up.
It's November,
See
so
what's coming up.
just let me know. I
We
just
don't
wanted to
need
put that out there
decide
so
in
everyone can be
August
thinking about it.
November.
Because I think it's important also to consider, it's hard to decide now because we don't know, like, you
Yes.
know,
Okay.
if there are certain issues that I can imagine would be pretty pressing and be like, yeah, okay, let's have a Monday meeting, but if we can, you know, be flexible and work with that, I'm okay with not having that meeting.
So we're.
And we can revisit. I just wanted to make sure I brought that up so you guys can be thinking about it. Again, it's not till November,
So
so
we're
we have time.
canceling the September 3rd meeting?
Yes. And the last thing I was going to mention was I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for last night. The mobility plan, which Commissioner Diaz mentioned, that is a big thing. We've talked about it for such a long time here. I want to thank all of you for your time and for meeting ahead of time with WGI to kind of go through that. This has been such a long time coming and such an important thing. And you now see other cities kind of jumping on board, starting to get their stuff going. We're already doing it, so we were kind of a little ahead of the curve. But it's such an important thing. But I did want to thank all of you because it is so big that we got through that. And Madam Mayor,
Yes,
you are obviously not here.
but,
We meet tomorrow for your one-on-one.
Right.
And the first part of that meeting, we will be talking.
and I did
with
watch,
WGI.
all I was in Vermont.
I know. But but thank you.
Technically,
all
you
of
were on
for
the
that.
runway, weren't you?
I don't even know where I was.
Like trying to get out of there, but then couldn't get out of
That
there?
was a nightmare.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Attorney?
Hi.
Hi there.
The city attorney desires advice from the commission concerning pending litigation, specifically regarding settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures in the case of Joseph Vieira et al. v. City of Lake Worth Beach, case number 502019CA001457 XXXXMB, and is requesting an attorney-client session to be scheduled for September 19th, 2024 at 5 p.m. The estimated length of the attorney-client session will be approximately 45 minutes. This session will be attended by the members of the City Commission, Mayor Betty Rash, Vice Mayor Sarah Malega, Commissioners Christopher McBoy, Mimi May, and Ronaldo Diaz, Interim City Manager Jamie Brown, City Attorney Glenn J. Torcivia, and outside counsel Forrest Andrews, Steve Johnson, and Carlos de Zayas. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the above-cited ongoing litigation.
What date did you say?
The September 19th at 5 p.m.
That's a Thursday. All right.
Yes.
Well, she's requested it. Will we let her have it? Motion to approve that date.
Yeah.
I can do it.
We already have a meeting that day?
Yeah. So this will be 5 o'clock?
Yes.
5 o'clock.
Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
It is a Thursday before your lobbyist RFP selection meeting.
It's my math club day, you know. Those poor kids. Good thing I got another teacher to do it with me this year.
And your kids are kind of geniuses. Do they really?
They know math. They're math kids.
That's, I said, they're geniuses.
Really? Okay, great. All right. Mr. McVoy, I see your light is on, but we're sort of, I don't know why.
Well, I had
We have our
a 2-hour speech that I.
Well, then, motion to adjourn? I, seriously.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Really, I mean, we are.
Was that facetious? Because I heard a motion and a second.
We heard some motion, but we didn't actually do anything with it.
Let's give Mr. McVoy 3 minutes.
Okay, that seems reasonable. I had,
Counting, really.
okay, get the timer. Give me the high five when it's ready to go.
And you shouldn't want to.
What did we say, 3?
3.
3.
Okay, go.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to comment a little bit on the last meeting, which I believe was the August 6th one, and I'd forgotten to do that during my commissioner comments. Obviously, anybody who's listened to me over the years knows that I care a lot about the democratic process, and I think a lot about our own American democratic process and what we see in other countries, and the importance of fighting for what we have here, because it is pretty remarkable, and it, on the whole, does pretty well compared to a number of countries. What concerns me is that we had a lot of discussion at the August 6th one about the business of the city. And as somebody who has knocked on a lot of doors and had many conversations that I think probably others here have had too, or similar ones, and certainly elected officials in other places do, is what do you say to somebody, a resident, who says, I'm just not going to bother to vote because my vote doesn't matter anyhow? And as somebody who serves in office, that's hard to hear. We think votes do matter a lot. It's your way of influencing how local money is spent, how local ordinances that apply to your life are changed. But to me, that means that as elected officials, we, in a democracy, in a pretty interesting experiment in democracy in the world and in human history, we as elected officials have a particularly high responsibility to help answer that question of why should I bother to vote? Why should I bother to be involved in local politics? And what concerns me is the tone of what we voted on in terms of rules of procedure. It didn't seem, as far as I could understand, that we had any particular problems that we were trying to solve. And the changes that we made basically raised the bar between us and residents. And that seems to me, particularly in some of the things that we've seen at the state level, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be, our message to our residents should be very strongly, how can we hear you more and better? Not, hey, you can't make presentations, or you have to get pre-approved, or your representative can't propose things if you come to your elected official and say, I would like this to be added to the agenda. Well, now it just depends on whether the majority opinion agrees with that. There's a reason
Time's up.
for having multiple ones.
Thank you.
My final thing that I'd like to say
Gave you
is,
3 minutes and it's up.
I know I have a very short
You
one.
don't need to be lectured, Mr. McBoy.
This is, well,
Which is exactly what this is.
sometimes things do need to be said.
Do it off the dais. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, it's not. When people were talking about deaths in another part of the world and family members who were dying, and there was a big
There's
deal,
a motion to adjourn.
some of the members of this commission were scrolling on their phones, and I found that extremely distasteful and disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need a
I'm
lecture.
sorry, if somebody's speaking, their mic is not on.
All right, thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Did we have a motion and a second?
We did. Malega, May.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.